other day, I finished up this design that I had started during my first period class. While you were here, I printed the black part. Now, this is your silkscreen design, and this is something, again, you could go back into these blank areas here and do yet another color, perhaps in yellow or green or any other color you wish. Okay, so I just wanted to start off the demonstration with the idea that you've already seen this, and I'm not going to go into the silkscreen, but I want you to see the result of all three colors if I didn't show it to you before. And basically what I'm doing today is looking at the subject sheet that I gave you, and the first thing on the subject sheet talks about rubbing. You might have read in your book the lesson on rubbing, and basically all it amounts to is to find a texture, and in this case I've got a block of wood blocks over here, a box of wood blocks. If you find a texture and you rub that texture through a piece of paper with an instrument like a colored pencil, for example, you will then record that texture onto the paper. Now the paper has to be kind of thick or kind of thin in order for you to be able to record the texture. If the paper is too thick, it's not going to record it. All right? Now, that isn't going to necessarily be the final design, but it might be something that you'll incorporate later on, and I'll show you how in just a few minutes. Now, you might ask yourself, well, rubbing, what's the idea here? Why would it be even considered to be, say, a technique or a media? And there are a number of people who have made a lot of money traveling around the country, traveling around Europe and throughout the world, finding old graveyards with headstones that have interesting textures and interesting designs and interesting words and interesting patterns. And they would take a piece of cloth or a piece of paper and put this on top of the headstone and rub it. And they would record then this image. Now it doesn't hurt the headstone at all, but the people take these, they put something on them to keep them, preserve them, put them in frames and sell them for a lot of money. People are interested in history. A lot of times just the fact that it's a given person of history. Shakespeare, for example. Perhaps if you went to his monument and you recorded something, someone who's interested in Shakespeare might want to purchase it. Okay, so that's how it might fit into the scheme of art. The next one I have is stamping. Now, stamping is just simply taking something that creates a design of some sort and putting it into a medium and then stamping it onto a surface. So let's say, for an example, I know one of the classic examples for elementary school is to take a potato and to take a potato and slice it in half, or slice it in slices, and then take a knife and carve out designs into the potato, and then take your ink or paint and stamp with it. Now, I've taken this piece of styrofoam and I've broken up a piece of styrofoam into a variety of pieces. Look at the nice textures on these. And these will be here for you to use. Perhaps at home you have an old sponge that's been used at the sink for a while in the kitchen, and your mom's about to throw it away. Bring it in, throw it in your backpack, cut it up into pieces, cut it up into shapes, and stamp with it. Once you have the design, as a matter of fact, these pieces of styrofoam, let's see what happens when I put this on here, because I cut into it. It doesn't look like it's going to print very well, but let's see what happens. Yeah, it did. Okay, so I kind of drew some designs in here with a pencil so that you're not getting the full effect of the black ink, because you see there's some grooves inside there. So that's a stamp. Now here, this side of this, I can go ahead and just stamp, and usually you're going to need to re-ink each time in order to get the same effect each time. But you can just repeat this pattern over and over again, this accidental pattern, and there you have that as a stamp, okay? And if you would go in and put another color with that, and let's find one with ink in it, or paint in it. Okay. Whoops, got some on the fingers. Okay, here's one. Here's on this side. You got some little dots. Let's see if they'll show up. Yeah, they do. Okay, you might see the little dots, and all I did was poke the end of a paintbrush into the styrofoam, and that then records that design, and that then could be repeated over and over again. See that? All right, so again, is this going to be your final product? Probably not. But that's stamping. Okay. Next one we have is printing. Now, silkscreen printing we already talked about. I already demonstrated that. But how about we do a little mono printing? Here's the green somebody mixed up. And here's the yellow somebody mixed up. And I've got a piece of glass here. I've got about a dozen pieces of glass. And they are breakable, of course. So when you clean them up, be real careful. And when you handle them, be real careful. So I've got this ink, got this paint on the glass. And what I'm going to do now is to simply move the paint around in some manner. Now maybe I will use the back part of a paintbrush or even the front part of the paintbrush to move the paint out and about, and in between the paint that's already there. Now, I can actually pick up this thing and actually paint on it if I want to. And I could take this and I could take a picture out of the book and I could lay it down on top of the book or top of the picture, or hopefully not in the book, but let's say one of the pictures in the notebooks that I have, and then you could draw around it and then actually draw it right on the glass, okay? And then after you have it on the glass, let's take a, what's that? Oh, I haven't moved the green around. Good. Let's do that. All right. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and this time kind of lightly go over this, hold it in place, and I'm not going to push down real hard because the ink is kind of thick. And it's so thick that probably I could still, if I wished, move some of the paint around even after I print it. All right? But that isn't necessarily the final product either. Okay? Now, if there's enough ink on there, then maybe I will take a piece that I've already done something with. Let's say I've done something in the ink, all right? And what if I lay this down on that same piece and pick that up? Now I have that which I've done before along with what I'm doing now, okay?